Hello, welcome to Podfic Galore. I'm your horrible online reader, Cold Scud. I read out loud fanfictions for you busy bees, free of charge and no strings attached. Today I will continue reading the Naruto Alternative Universe fic from Archive of Our Own by MisatosPenpen and PhoenixInnocence called Scars. I hope you can at least try to enjoy my voice, and I will try my best for you with the equipment available to me. Note, this fic is rated explicit. On with the show. Scars by MisatosPenpen and PhoenixInnocence. Chapter 10. Sunday, November 15th. So, what's the plan? Deidara asked as they pulled into the Hyuga's neighborhood. It's not like the two of you can arrest Hiyashi, and I hope you're not thinking of offing him before the rest of the feds arrive. Kakashi's going to hang back, Sasuke said. I'm afraid Neji might come and say something to his uncle, or Hiyashi might leave for some other reason. I just want to keep watch until Kakashi arrives and make sure it all goes down without a hitch. There may be 4 of them, but it never hurts to have more backup. Deidara parked a little bit down from the Hyuga's front gate. Sasuke was relieved to not see Neji's car anywhere. The family parked in a large garage though, so even if he wasn't parked outside on a circular driveway, didn't necessarily mean Neji wasn't here. Hopefully he hadn't informed his uncle of anything that happened tonight. They settled in. How long should this take? Itachi asked. 10 minutes to get the warrant, if the judge is particularly sanguine. An hour or never, otherwise. Sasuke's expression turned brooding. The Hyugas are as important as the Uchiha. Yeah, and? Itachi asked. There may be Konoha judges who don't want to cross such a powerful family, Deidara answered. Kakashi might not be able to get his warrant, Sasuke finished. So, then what? Can he do nothing without it? Itachi asked. Probable cause is a powerful thing. With it, you can arrest anyone. However, we cannot force our way onto a property or into a home to make an arrest without a warrant. On the street, we could, but we can't trespass to arrest someone. On the other hand, if Hiyashi leaves this property, we might lose him and any hope of arresting him. He's safe from us on the property as long as we don't have a warrant. If Hiyashi doesn't want to leave his home, we can make him. He doesn't have to agree to leave for questioning either. If he agreed, we can then arrest him and hold him for 24 hours without bringing charges. A warrant makes our lives so much easier. Hey, is there another entrance? Deidara asked. Sasuke thought about it. Yes, if you go down to the end of this block, along the edge of the property, follow around the corner, there's another gate. It's how the landscapers get their large mowers onto the lot. I'm going to go keep an eye on that gate. You just stay put. I'll text if I see anything. You do the same. Be careful. They were both surprised that it was Sasuke who said that. Deidara scrambled off. Want to come up front, Aniki? Sasuke asked. As your lover pointed out, I should lay low and stay hidden. In this light, I don't think you have to worry. It was well after sunset after all. Their hearts hammered when headlights approached. They both stiffened when it was only a single car, therefore not Kakashi and Naruto. Rather, it was a black Lincoln that pulled up to the Hyuga gate. The driver was dark-haired and invisible in the shadows. The passenger had platinum blonde hair that practically glowed in the dark. The gate opened for them. Our hitman, Itachi said. Kissa! Sasuke swore in Japanese. Maybe you should text or call Kakashi and warn him, Itachi said. I'll alert Deidara first. I don't have his number. Itachi took out his own phone. I can text him, but you should have his number in your phone. He looked up the number and read it off to Sasuke, then composed his text. Sasuke was halfway through typing out his message to Kakashi when there was a metallic knocking on his window. It was the barrel of a gun. He put his left hand up and raised his right with the phone, showing he hadn't sent the text yet. The pulling open of the back door distracted Sasuke. He then pulled Itachi out and Kakuzu opened Sasuke's door. They were both relieved of their phones. My guns were already taken from me, Sasuke said in a low voice. My brother is unarmed. Still gotta search ya. They were pushed against the car and frisked. Both hitmen found it necessary to thoroughly check their crotches. Walk calmly to the gate, Kakuzu ordered. We're going up to the house. Sasuke silently begged Kakashi to hurry. Just because they didn't want to murder the brothers in the street didn't mean they wouldn't once behind thick walls. Kakashi had his phone in his hand and instantly answered it. Hatake?
Kakashi, the warrant's been denied.
Shikamaru said.
Judge Simmons doesn't buy your probable cause. He'll meet you in the morning to plead your case.
There's more than one judge in Konoha.
I've called 3, and that's the gist of every conversation with every judge currently on call. Even the night court judge told me he was too busy and didn't want to put his neck out without sufficient evidence.
This is the Hyuga's reputation and money working against us.
Yeah, that's how I read it too.
What about Sarutobi?
He's not on call tonight and he's not answering.
Fuck. Kakashi sighed. We'll try to get him to come in for questioning, but I don't think it's going to work.
You should go though.
Shikamaru said.
If one of these judges decides to give Hyuga a heads up,
He'll run.
Or worse, hunker down and start cooking up an alibi. We can't arrest him on probable cause in his home without a warrant.
Fuck all. All we can hope is he agrees to come in for questioning. It had been about a half a year since Sasuke was last invited to dinner with his partner and his family. Last time, Nechi escorted him to the lounge as a guest. This time he was being herded at gunpoint. Hiyashi sat in his chair like Julius Caesar in his golden Senate seat, imperious and unshakable.
They're unarmed,
Kakuzu said.
I know there was a third. Hidan and I will go out and look for him.
Very well. I don't think the Uchiha and I will have any issues, Hiyashi said as he pulled out a gun. Kakuzu and Hidan went back outside. Sasuke noticed Hidan wasn't standing straight and was hunching over. Sasuke felt satisfied that he had indeed caught the man somewhere in the midsection. Seems like an extreme welcome, Hiyashi, Sasuke said. His words might sound like he was playing dumb, but his tone made it clear that he knew the Hyuga's secret. Well, with dangerous fugitives on the loose, I felt I needed more security. I thought you would shoot your brother the moment you saw him, not reconcile with him. Happy circumstances, Sasuke sneered.
On your knees,
Hiyashi ordered. Sasuke slowly lowered himself, bringing his hands up to lace his fingers behind his head. He'd been trained on how to deal with being taken hostage and did as he was trained. Itachi was a little surprised that Sasuke complied without complaint and was even making his hands useless without being ordered. Nevertheless, he trusted his brother, especially with how calm he was, and mimicked him. Who's with you? Sasuke just glared at the older man. Itachi remained calm, but he was ghastly pale. Hiyashi judged Itachi the weaker of the two. He aimed the muzzle of his gun at Itachi. Sasuke shifted, but didn't want to put Hiyashi on the edge. Who did you bring with you? Hiyashi asked again. No one, Itachi lied. Sasuke's eyes had hardly left Hiyashi's. Hiyashi was even calmer than Sasuke. At least Sasuke's heart was hammering, more with anger with the man than fear or excitement. Sasuke wouldn't spare a moment to look around, but he was able to assess their situation. His knees had come down on the stone tile, no rug or carpet under them. From memory, he knew behind them were wooden bookcases, a wooden door and a door jamb, and a plaster wall in the entranceway. If Hiyashi fired his gun, all those things would be repaired in a day, and mopping up blood on the floor would be an easy task. Luminol might show the truth, but blood wasn't the only thing that made Luminol fluoresce. If they walked onto a tarp with only books behind them, Sasuke would be certain they would be shot. As it was, Hiyashi probably felt comfortable shooting them. Who? A fool, Sasuke answered. Don't trouble yourself. My brother's useless lover. Hiyashi scoffed. We can come to an accord, Sasuke. But, shut up, Itachi, Sasuke snapped. Don't say a bloody word. My nephew would be distraught at your death, Sasuke. How about a compromise? I won't kill your brother. He will be my hostage. You could go about your life, let it return to normal, get married, have 11 kids, live a happy life knowing your brother is alive and well treated. Even come and visit him. In exchange, you'll forget everything you've learned and sell your shares in Sharingan to me. You'll be wealthier than your wildest dreams. Though I guess Itachi would have to be declared dead or somehow found guilty of the murder for you to have a total ownership over those shares. Itachi can write out a confession and a suicide note, use a drop of blood to confirm his identity. Even without a body, I think that will work. Sasuke remained silent. He needed to buy time. Hiyashi took that as refusal. I can also just shoot your fugitive brother right here in front of you. We can easily make you grip the gun that killed him to get your fingerprints on it, and say you shot him and was driven insane by the act. With him dead, and you declared insane, all your wealth would become part of the estate, which I could easily take over. Or perhaps you'd like to have Itachi out of the way, the brother who deserted you. I will kill him for you. Everything will be yours, and you can hand all the burden and responsibility to me. You live like a king with no other Uchiha to threaten your reign. Itachi's always been in your way. Now he can be swept aside, one way or the other. Despite not being Fukaku's brat, being the last Uchiha, you can have everything. Sasuke's eyes went wide. Oh, you didn't know you were a bastard? I thought it was pretty common knowledge. Isn't that why you resented your brother? Fukaku was proud of him and loved him and cast you aside. Itachi stood to take everything and leave you with scraps. Like a pride's new male lions, you would be at the top of the food chain, but he would fucking eat first. You, just a younger son of a younger brother. He finally looked at Itachi again. That's how you always saw him, didn't you? You knew. Everyone knew. You cultivated his love and loyalty to keep him as your dog. Fetch and hunt and lay there and warm your feet. Shizue and Obito grew up knowing their place, but this bastard had delusions of grandeur. He needed a lead and a muzzle if he couldn't be tamed. Itachi looked over at Sasuke. Sasuke's eyes were blazing but focused on Hiyashi. Sasuke, I swear I never... Keep your fucking mouth shut, Sasuke said slowly with enough venom to taste on the air. Sasuke had interrupted Itachi, but he was staring daggers at Hiyashi. Itachi didn't know who he was talking to. We don't even have to kill him, Hiyashi continued. We can turn him in. The FBI believed him guilty from the start. Let them continue to think that. As the youngest son of the youngest brother, he took everything from between you and the world. Let the legitimate son rot. God stands up for bastards. They favored you over your legitimate brother. You're smarter, better looking, worth far more than him. Take it with relish. Itachi knew too well the rage Sasuke was capable of. Sasuke had entertained the notion that Fukaku believed him a bastard. Sasuke had resented him at one point. Sasuke had easily been convinced Itachi had betrayed him when he found Fukaku's corpse, and he had Deidara trying to calm him then. Could Hiyashi's words work on him? Itachi was sure Sasuke would not be moved by greed. But rage? Sasuke always wanted acknowledgement. Could this opportunity to topple Itachi sway him? To be the only son, not the second? To be the only heir, the only Uchiha? He wanted to plead to Sasuke, to say something, but he was afraid to speak. But he had to know where his brother's mind was. Sasuke, he whispered. Those daggers were turned on him with no softening. Itachi's eyes widened with fear. Hiyashi had influenced him. Sasuke's arm slacked and slowly came down to his sides. He was breathing harder now and was not looking at Hiyashi anymore. He stood and stepped away from his brother. Sasuke? Kakashi rolled to a stop when he came upon the Hyuga gates. They were slightly ajar. He couldn't recognize the Cadillac on the other side of the street in the dark. He rolled down his window and gestured for Naruto to pull up alongside him. Sakura lowered her window. Something's up. The gates are open. But they are open. I think we can chance entering the property. Sakura slipped out of Naruto's car and ran over to push the gates fully open. They eased up to the two-story sprawling estate with too many windows facing the front of the house to witness their approach. Not that they needed to worry about being seen as the front door stood ajar. They got out of their cars and the other three formed up on Kakashi. I don't like this, Naruto said. Kakashi nodded his agreement. Door's open, Genma said. We can claim concern and probable cause to investigate a burglary. Kakashi hummed at the notion. They could twist things to their advantage. Kakashi pulled his sidearm out and stepped towards the side of the door. He peeked slowly around the doorframe. Nothing moved within. The lights were on, but the house felt deserted. Kakashi yelled inside, "Mr. Hyuga! Agent Hatake, FBI!" "Call them in," Kakashi heard a low voice say.
Come in, agents.
A different voice called out. Kakashi looked over to his colleagues with bewildered warning.
"Hey, I've been here before,"
Naruto whispered.
"There's a door that goes into the kitchen. I can circle around just in case."
Kakashi nodded, and Naruto and Sakura snuck around the building while Kakashi and Genma entered and looked around at the opulence. Kakashi looked to his left and saw the scene in the lounge. Hiyashi sitting there with a gun drawn and a dark-haired man on his knees with his hands behind his head. He had to take a few steps to see Sasuke standing a few feet from his brother. He was too confused to act. "I'm relieved you're here," Hiyashi said. "I caught this fugitive in my house. Arrest him, please." Kakashi looked over at Sasuke, but Sasuke didn't open his mouth. He wanted to ask what the fuck were the two of them doing here, but so far Hiyashi seemed fine with them arresting Itachi and getting out of the situation. Sasuke looked angry, but willing to let this happen. Sasuke was too far from Hiyashi to disarm him before he could shoot, and that went for the rest of them too. "Very well," Kakashi said. Genma understood and would follow Kakashi's lead. Hiyashi smirked. "I will be pressing charges against the fugitive. Not that that should concern him with all those other charges against him." How did he end up here? Kakashi was asking Hiyashi as much as Sasuke. Anyone who would be cooking up a cover story. "Sasuke came here looking for Neji. Itachi followed, but I was able to get a drop on him. I protected your missing agent." Sasuke said nothing, staring at Kakashi with angry eyes, but not giving anything away. Kakashi really didn't want to holster his gun to cuff and take Itachi outside. "You can put that gun away, Mr. Hyuga. I have this." "Why are you here, Agent Hatake?" Hiyashi asked. Fuck. Kakashi didn't have a great talent of coming up with lies on the fly. "Probably the GPS on my phone," Sasuke said after Kakashi hesitated a moment too long. Hiyashi narrowed his eyes. He saw through it. "Your phone? You call them here? What did you tell them?" Sasuke's head tilted down, aggressively. He knew there was no lying his way out now. Suddenly, Naruto and Sakura were pushed in through the lounge's opposing door, behind Hiyashi. Kakashi and Genma pointed their guns at the commotion.
Boss, we found two fuckers lurking out there."
Hidan was in the lead, his gun drawn on his two captives. Kakuzu was right behind him with his own gun drawn.
How many motherfuckers are here tonight?"
Hidan and Kakuzu made sure their guns were trained on Naruto and Sakura's heads. Hiyashi was disciplined. He didn't look away from Kakashi, but he looked annoyed. "I think you should surrender your gun, Agent Hatake." Kakashi's eyes were narrowed on Kakuzu. He knew that motherfucker. But there was no way he could do anything but wound or kill him and let Hidan kill Naruto and Hiyashi shoot who he wished. Even with Genma, if he made a move, someone he cared about would die. Kakashi lowered his gun. Genma did the same. Kakuzu came forward and took both guns. Kakuzu and Kakashi exchanged looks, a silent trading of taunts and promises that their shared history would soon be concluded. Kakuzu placed the guns on the small table next to Hiyashi. Kakashi and Genma laced their fingers behind their heads. "So, how much do they know, Sasuke?" "Stop this, Hiyashi," Itachi said. "I did it. I confessed. I killed my parents. Let them arrest me." Hiyashi's phone signaled a text. "Are those two bound?" he asked his men.
"They are."
"Cover these four for a moment." Hidan and Kakuzu pointed their weapons at Kakashi and Genma. They had frisked Sasuke and Itachi and knew them to be unarmed. Sasuke wasn't stupid enough to try to make a move. He purposely kept his body relaxed. Hiyashi looked at his phone. "Did you get anyone to sign a warrant?" Kakashi took a defeated breath. "No." "Do you have enough for one?" "Apparently not." "Oh, Itachi. How anyone who truly knows you could believe you'd ever shoot your family is beyond me. It was beautiful to read every day as they narrowed in on you. A thriller of a read in real time. The cherry on top was when even little Sasuke was convinced in the end. But we know better, don't we, Itachi? A boy of your sensitive nature doesn't just one day pick up a gun and kill everyone he loves. But it served its purpose. Your family is quite horrible. They had it coming to them. But that mother of yours, she was the most beautiful, kind woman I ever met. She deserved so much better than Fugaku Uchiha. Those hard, narrow eyes of his, you inherited those, Itachi, along with those unfortunate creases. You have her eyes, Sasuke. Such a pity more of Mikoto's elegance and grace couldn't be passed on to her sons. She was a good woman, but to cuckold her husband with his own younger brother, Sasuke stiffened quicker than Itachi did. You look just like him. Her eyes, her chin, but otherwise you are Izuna, Sasuke. Stop slandering my mother, Sasuke growled. Or what? I am a quick shot. Move and I'll shoot you dead.
It's what you're going to do anyway.
You're right.
How are you going to explain all the corpses in your house? Or how do you plan to get rid of them?
You were, in fact, kidnapped by your fugitive older brother and you escaped and came here looking for your partner. You called in the cavalry, but your brother tracked you here and there was a shootout in which every one of you were killed or mortally wounded. I hid upstairs the whole time. Kakuzu here has the very gun used that night. You'll have that in your dead hand soon, Itachi. For money you killed your own brother and our entire family. Hiyashi sighed. Those who dismiss money so don't understand its power. Not everyone can make millions. Only the sharpest and the most cutthroat are willing to do what it takes to make it up to the top and stay there. You could never have too much money. Let that be a lesson to you boys, however short-lived it shall be. Your fathers understood it. Which to kill first, Fugaku's brat or Izuna's bastard? Sasuke gritted his teeth and tried to think of something to do. His eyes darted around to his brother, to the hitman, to his comrades, and finally to Hiyashi. Hiyashi didn't like that. The bastard! Hiyashi fired. Itachi moved even faster than Sasuke could and pushed him out of the way. The bullet struck Itachi in the upper left chest. Nissan! Sasuke screamed. Kakashi nearly lunged for Sasuke, but Hiyashi whipped his gun around to aim at him. Naruto had lunged forward but was tugged back by Hidan. Itachi fell onto his back. Sasuke turned to him and pressed on the wound to stem the bleeding. It flowed up to Sasuke's palm, hot and very, very red. Emotionally, he was a lost cause, rambling in Japanese, which only Itachi could understand. Better to off the rest of them before I finish off the Uchiha. He's no use to anyone anyway now. Just one gun each, gentlemen. It'll be hard for me to explain multiple guns to the FBI and forensics. But I think a bit of friendly fire is bound to happen in close quarters. Whose gun do you have, Kakuzu? The blonde's. You're going to use that gun to shoot Hatake. Such a tragedy to be shot by one of your younger peers. I hope the FBI doesn't hold it against them. Kakuzu gripped the gun and stepped forward, aiming at Kakashi. Not the head, please, Hiyashi said. A gun fired. A sound much louder than Hiyashi's had been. Everyone flinched, but none of the FBI agents were hurt. Fuck, that hurts so good, Hidan hissed. He fell to his knees and collapsed. Kakuzu dropped to the side like a tree. The sound was so loud because it was two shots at once. Hiyashi grabbed his gun and looked at the figure in the doorway. The man advancing into the room with his gun trained on him. Drop your gun, uncle, Neji said. Behind Hiyashi, Deidara came into the room with the gun drawn. The two of them had coordinated and shot both hitmen in a moment. Neji had given Deidara his spare gun, a habit he had picked up from his partner. Sasuke had looked up at the gunshot, but once he realized none of his friends had been shot, he returned all his attention to Itachi. Neji, hear me out first, Hiyashi said. I heard enough. He wanted to look towards Sasuke and Itachi to see who was shot and how badly, but he couldn't take his eyes off his treacherous uncle. Hinata's already called an ambulance. Drop your weapon. So help me, uncle, if you don't drop it, I will fire, he said when Hiyashi didn't obey. Hiyashi believed him and dropped the gun. Genma came up and kicked the gun away and pulled Hiyashi to his feet and cuffed him. The danger over, Deidara rushed to Itachi's side and helped Sasuke put pressure on the wound. Neji looked over to see that it was Itachi who was on his back, trying not to groan from the pain. Sasuke's attention was focused on his brother. Kakashi, though concerned for his lover, went over to Naruto and Sakura. He pulled out his large folding knife to cut the zip ties used to bind their hands behind their backs. Naruto thanked Kakashi and then went to Sasuke's side, but there was no additional help he could offer. Kakashi went and cuffed Kakuzu, who was lying in a growing puddle of blood. He relished the fact the man was probably dying. He'd beaten a murder rap, evading Kakashi. Sakura cuffed Hidan, who was similarly bleeding. Genma continued to handle Hiyashi. Kakashi called Shikamaru to tell him to come and document all that had happened here. Finally, the ambulance's sirens penetrated the house and soon the paramedics rushed in. Everyone pointed them to Itachi, telling them that he was the priority. Sasuke and Deidara were eased away and Itachi was stabilized, then put on a stretcher and rushed out. Sasuke let Deidara go with him, believing he would have work to do in this aftermath. 2 more ambulances arrived to take Hidan and Kakuzu away, both cuffed to their stretchers. Shikamaru and Temari arrived with CSI. The 2 agents began interviewing everyone, including Hinata, who had been hiding upstairs through it all, while CSI took pictures of the scene and collected the assortment of guns, federal and private. The wounded taken away and the scene secured, Kakashi and Genma took Hiyashi away. Sasuke let Sakura drive his caddy while Sasuke was ordered into the back of Temari's car so Shikamaru could continue to interview him while they drove back to the headquarters. Naruto trailed them in his own car. The caravan headed to the field office. End of chapter 10. Stay tuned.